Senator. Well, our next speaker has fully recovered from his 21-hour filibuster. But I had to tell him, Senator, with all due respect, we can only give you 20 minutes. Coming to introduce him is the founder and president of the Media Research Center, one of the sponsors of the Values Voters Summit, and for exposing liberal bias by watching countless hours of mainstream media coverage so we don't have to. Would you not only welcome, but would you thank Brent Bozell?
Good morning. How are we doing today? All right, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's a whole lot of talk in Washington, especially today. There's an awful lot of things that are being said. There are a lot of things that aren't being said, and ladies and gentlemen, there are a few things that need to be said. I, for one, am sick of the whining that's going on from the Republican Party and from some in the conservative movement itself. Just the other day, reading the Washington Post, I read from one faux conservative, the strategy to defund the Affordable Care Act needed a plan B, and its authors, if they had one, they didn't share what it was. Then came another whiner running to the Washington Post. I think it was very possible for us to delay the implementation of Obamacare for a year until Ted Cruz came along and crashed and burned. This is what they didn't tell you. Until Ted Cruz came along with Mike Lee, they had no plan B. They had no plan A. And nobody, to my thinking, nobody has been more blatant in his intellectual dishonesty than Senator John McCain. This is what he told you on September 9th. He wanted the whole world to know this about Ted Cruz and Mike Lee. He said, I can tell you that in the U.S. Senate, we will not repeal or defund Obamacare. We will not. And to think that we can is not rational. This is what he doesn't want you to know. In 2010, when he was campaigning for his life and needed conservatives, it will be repealed and replaced. It will not stand. That's what he said. October 9th, this is what he wanted America to hear. To think we're going to repeal Obamacare was a false premise, and I think did the American people a great disservice by convincing them that somehow we could. This is what he didn't want to share, his 2010 campaign ad. John McCain is our last line of defense, leading the charge against the ridiculously unaffordable ideas like government-run health care. This is what he said on Tuesday on CNN, wanting the whole world to hear. Defunding Obamacare is a fool's errand, perpetuated by the people, i.e., Senator Ted Cruz, that convinced so many millions of Americans, Tea Partiers, who we're specifically talking about, that there was some way we could defund Obamacare. We can't. This is what he said the night he won his primary in 2010. We will regain the Senate and the House, and when we do, we will replace and repeal Obamacare. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a game, and it's a game Republicans and some conservatives have been playing since 2009. Give lots of speeches, make lots of promises, use lots of rhetoric, raise lots of money, get yourself elected, even reelected, and do nothing. It is the height of cynicism. And then the unthinkable happened. Ted Cruz called them out. He said, quite clearly, enough of that game. America is threatened. This is where we make our stand. I am so darn proud of that man. Strength, courage, principle. He has these things, and it's because he has these things, and they don't have these things that they've turned on him. Yes, they're trying to destroy him, and make no mistake about that. Here's a memo to the ruling class that I've got in Washington, D.C. We will not allow that to happen. Tell me now, will you stand with Ted Cruz? Tell me now, Does he deserve our gratitude for his magnificent devotion to liberty? Does he deserve our prayers for continued success? Tell me now, will you stand with him in his crusade to save America? Don't tell me, tell Senator Ted Cruz.
Texas yet.
Thank you. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. I received that blessing. And let me say to each and every one of you, I am inspired by you. I am invigorated by your passion for this great country. Now, as inspired as I am, I will do my very best to speak for less than 21 hours. But you will know I'm near wrapping up when I begin to read The Cat in the Hat. I am here this morning with a word of encouragement and exhortation. I want to say two things. Number one, these are extraordinary times. These are not typical times. The challenges facing this country are unlike any we have ever seen. You look at our Constitution, you look at our Bill of Rights, this is an administration that seems bound and determined to violate every single one of our Bill of Rights. I don't know that they've yet violated the Third Amendment, but I expect them to start quartering soldiers in people's homes soon. But if you look at the Bill of Rights, if you look at the First Amendment, this is an administration that has told servicemen and women that they cannot share their faith or risk discipline. This is an administration that has reprimanded an Air Force chapel in Alaska for writing in a blog post, "There are no atheists in foxholes." Now, mind you, he was quoting President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who I might note has some passing familiarity with the military. This is an administration that is telling Christian companies like Hobby Lobby, is telling the Little Sisters of the Poor that they must provide abortifacients or pay millions of dollars in government fines. The Little Sisters of the Poor is an order of nuns that provides health care to the elderly poor. The federal government is coming after them, saying they have to provide abortifacients as well. We've got the Second Amendment, which no administration in this history of this country has ever come after guns like this administration. Now, Vice President Joe Biden you know the nice thing? You don't need a punchline. You just say his name, people laugh. But Vice President Joe Biden had some advice. He said, if anyone's attacking your home, just go outside with a double-barreled shotgun and fire both barrels in the air. Which is very, very good advice, if it so happens you're being attacked by a flock of geese. We've seen the Fourth and Fifth Amendment, an administration whose drone policy and wiretap policies and your emails and your phone calls, their view is the privacy of the American people does not matter to them. And then there is the 10th Amendment, an amendment I'm pretty sure they've gone and cut out of every copy of the Constitution in the Library of Congress. We've seen an explosion of federal government power, none more important or significant or dangerous than Obamacare. We look at the state of our economy. In the last 4 years, our economy has grown, on average, 0.9% a year. There's only one other period since World War II of 4 consecutive years of less than 1% average growth. That was 1979 to 1982. It's coming out of the Jimmy Carter administration. It was the same failed economic policies, out of control spending and taxes and regulation, and it produced the exact same results. And we've seen a hapless, feckless foreign policy leading from behind, said by a president who doesn't appreciate the concept of an oxymoron. These are extraordinary times. Listen, every one of you is here because you love this country, because you love freedom. And you know that we can't keep going down this road much longer. We're nearing the edge of a cliff. And our window to turn things around, my friends, I don't think it is long. I don't think it's 10 years. We have a couple of years to turn this country around, or we go off the cliff to oblivion. Throughout the history of the world, we have seen great nations rise and fall. And everyone here today is here today because we are not content to allow the United States of America to do anything but continue to rise and remain the greatest country on the face of this earth.
Senator Cruz, why won't you support a pathway to citizenship for immigrant families?
Thank you, sir, for being here. I appreciate look, it is a great thing that people can express their First Amendment rights. And I only wish the Obama administration respected First Amendment rights that much. But how do we turn things around? The second point I want to say is only the American people can turn this great nation around. Only the American people. Now, the book of Ecclesiastes tells us there's nothing new under the sun. As dire as things are, I want each of us to remember back to 1978, 1979. Those were dark times with 22% interest rates, double-digit unemployment, gas lines going around the block. Our hostages languishing in Iran for 444 days. The President of the United States said we got to accept malaise. The Soviet Union can't be stopped. Our foreign policy is détente, which I'm pretty sure is French for surrender. And what were we all told over and over again? There's nothing you can do about it. It can't be done. The top marginal rate is 70%, and it will stay 70% no matter what. The Soviet Union cannot be defeated. Government will always continue to grow, and freedom in America will always recede. And yet what we saw across this country... Ma'am, thank you for being here. I wish you would participate in the democratic process through speaking respectfully. It seems that President Obama's paid political operatives are out in force today. And you know why? And you know why? Because the men and women in this room scare the living daylights out of them. In 1980, in a situation every bit as dire as the one we face today, a revolution began across this country. the Reagan Revolution, and I'm looking at an awful lot of foot soldiers and generals from the Reagan Revolution. A lot of the men and women in this room bear the scars and understand the power that when the people rise up, ultimately sovereignty resides in one place and one place only in our Constitution. It is with we, the people. And I'm going to suggest a model for how we turn this country around in the next couple of years. And it is the model that we have been following together for the last couple of months to stop that train wreck, that disaster, that nightmare that is Obamacare. I don't know how many of y'all remember the movie The Usual Suspects. In that movie, they described the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince the world he didn't exist. You know what I'm curious? Is anybody left at the Organizing for America headquarters? I'm actually glad that the president's whole political staff is here instead of actually doing mischief in the country. In the movie The Usual Suspects, they said the greatest trick the devil ever played was to convince the world he didn't exist. Well, you know what? The greatest trick the left has ever played is to convince conservatives we cannot win. The media will tell us that believing in free market values, believing in the Constitution, believing in freedom, that those are extreme views. It is a lie. If it were not a lie, why do so many Democrats, when they're running, pretend to be conservatives? For that matter, why do so many Republicans do the same? The values each and every one of us are defending are values that every small town, every family, every small business has understood in this country for centuries. That's what we're defending. That's what we're defending. You know, at this point, you know what's striking, actually? In the course of this brief speech, we've heard more questions than President Obama's allowed in the past year. In fact, since we have the men and women of the media here, let me make an offer to our president. I would welcome the president, if he wants to get 100 of his most rabid political operatives in a room. I'll answer their questions on television as long as he likes. And in exchange, all I would ask, Mr. President, is you take not 100, but 10 of the men and women in this room and spend 30 minutes answering their questions for the American people. You know, when the fight for Obamacare started, Senator Mike Lee and I began by pitching it in Washington. And it was abundantly clear that this was not a strategy that Washington was going to embrace. was far too risky. And if there's one overarching urge in Washington, it is risk aversion. Do nothing, nothing, nothing that has any risk that it might actually do anything. And so this summer, Mike Lee and I took a very different strategy. We said, okay, we're going to go. Ma'am, I look forward to you at the town hall we'll pull together. We tried a very different strategy. We said, okay, we'll go over their heads. Now, a lot of folks in Washington said, oh, you mean you'll talk to Republican leadership? We went over their heads to the American people. For much of the month of August and September, Mike and I traveled this country speaking to town halls all over the country and saying, how scared is the president? What a statement of fear. What a statement of fear. Oh, they don't want the truth to be heard. They definitely don't want the truth to be heard. As we traveled the country speaking to the American people, making the case, what we said from the beginning, I said, you know what? I can't stop Obamacare. Mike Lee can't stop Obamacare. Oh, we have 2 more, 3 more. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you for your passion, but you should respect the rights of the men and women who are here. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that the administration You know, the nice thing is the left will always, always, always tell you who they fear. And they fear you. They fear the American people. The fundamental problem in Washington is Washington is not listening to America. And what happened? This fight on Obamacare. We went and made the case to the American people, launched a national website, don'tfundit.com. In a matter of just a few weeks, over 2 million Americans signed that petition on don'tfundit.com. It is because of you that the House of Representatives has been standing strong, because the House has been listening to the people. It is because of you that for the past 2 months, the country is engaged in a national debate about the enormous harms Obamacare is causing. All of the millions of Americans who are losing their jobs, being pushed into part-time work, losing their health insurance. It is because of you that the American people are energized. And we see the Obama administration defending positions that are utterly and completely unreasonable. Repeatedly, the House of Representatives has acted to compromise, to fund vital priorities, and repeatedly, President Obama and the Democrats have refused to negotiate. Now, I will note this afternoon, look, the Democrats are feeling the heat. Yes. So this afternoon, President Obama has invited the Senate Republicans to the White House. So after leaving here, I'm going to be going to the White House. I will make a request If I'm never seen again, please send a search and rescue team. I very much hope tomorrow morning I don't wake up amidst the Syrian rebels. But listen, that's true. They'll talk to us unlike this administration. You're exactly right. Listen, none of us know what's going to happen on this Obamacare fight right now. In my view, the House of Representatives needs to keep doing what it's been doing, which is standing strong. And that is the model for every other fight. We need no more Washington solutions. We need to go back to the American people. The media tells us we cannot win. In fact, I think I read in the New York Times today that Hillary has already started her second term. The media wants America to give up and allow this country to keep sliding off the edge of the cliff. But let me tell you, there are two things I have unabiding faith in. One is a benevolent God who loves each and every one of us. And number two is the American people who love liberty and opportunity unlike any nation, any people in the history of this world. Many of y'all know my father, Cruz. I am hoping in time I could encourage him not to be such a wallflower. When he fled Cuba 55 years ago, after being imprisoned, after being beaten, when he came here seeking freedom, he did it because no nation on earth has allowed so many millions of people to come with nothing and achieve anything and achieve the American dream. What does it take to win this fight? It takes the men and women in this room. Each of you is called to be here. Much like Esther, you were called for a time such as this. For 400 years, every generation of Americans has given to their kids and grandkids greater opportunity, greater prosperity, a greater future. If we keep going down this road, we will become the first generation not to do that. And every man and woman in this room believes in your heart, in your gut, in your soul that is utterly and completely unacceptable. As Ronald Reagan famously observed, freedom is not passed down in the bloodstream from one generation to the next. Every generation has to rise up and defend it. Or one day, we will find ourselves answering questions from our children and our children's children. What was it like when America was free? None of us will ever have to answer that question because together, the American people, we are going to restore that shining city on a hill that is the United States of America. Thank you and God bless you.